I went for an interview at a large firm and got mistaken for the interviewer. This is the most absurd, yet funniest scenario I've ever been in. For context, I'm 22 but look 30. I have a thick beard and an angry-looking face, or so I'm told. My skin isn't the best either. People usually assume I'm in my 30s and the father of my 13-year-old sister. I'm in my final year of university and looking for graduate jobs. I landed an assessment center in one of the biggest firms in the industry a few weeks ago. For those who don't know, an assessment center is usually the final stage in a graduate job process. They consist of an interview, a group task with other candidates, and some unassessed activities like a Q&A. On the day, there was supposed to be around 100 candidates and 30 interviewers present. When I arrived, one of the volunteers present asked me if I was here for the interviews. I said yup. They took me upstairs into a room with around 20 people inside. I said, wow, I thought I was late. And the volunteer just nodded and left. I noticed how every candidate looked much older. Everyone was easily 30 plus years old, some looked 50. I felt very intimidated. It was my first IC for a large firm, and I thought that perhaps all these candidates were masters or PhD students and I had to compete with more experienced individuals for the role. And no one was talking either. In my other AC, everyone was talking together. Half of these individuals were by themselves, sipping on coffee and looking at some papers, and it made me feel very intimidated. I approached a group that were talking and joined in. We talked about the industry for a little while, and the group were surprisingly very knowledgeable. Their insights were so strong, and they knew a lot about the company. Initiate imposter syndrome. I tried keeping up, but they could likely see right through my faux air, and at one point I was just nodding and agreeing because I didn't understand anything. I wanted to cry. I excused myself and approached another, smaller group. This time, they asked me for my role. Role? Oh, they want to know what I applied for. I thought they interviewed for multiple lines together and said technology risk. They asked how long I'd been with the firm, and I said, so far, 15 minutes, thinking I was being coy, but they just gave me a weird look. Tough crowd, I thought. I asked what role they applied for. I got a couple answers. Then one of the older-looking ladies looked at me and said, "You're not an interviewer, are you?" Interviewer. I asked questioningly. No. I'm here to get interviewed. Wait, are you an interviewer? We all are, she replied. The fuck? I was so confused. She laughed it off, patted my shoulder, and said, I think you were brought to the wrong room. You're supposed to go to the room next door, and she took me there. Thank God for this lady BTW, she was the only woman who talked to me empathetically. A room full to the brim with 100 people that looked 5 minutes 10 years younger than me. Thank fuck. BTW, the lady who helped me out, was a partner at the firm. Later, when I went in for my interviewer made a joke about how all the interviewers knew about me and found it hilarious. On the bright side, it was a great conversation starter and I had an impression to work with. I finally got to process how funny and absurd this was on my journey back home. I wonder what would have happened if I wasn't found out and stayed with them.